Hello all, welcome to session 23 of Selenium Python training series. In this session, I am going to explain about HTML basics for locators. So let's get started. In order to understand the locators, we should have some basic knowledge on HTML. In this session, I am going to explain about HTML at a very basic or high level, guys. This much will be enough. Whatever I explain in this session about HTML will be enough for you to understand the locators in the upcoming sessions. Fine. To get started, I'll take this application URL, open any browser, and we'll go to this URL page. When I hit this URL, I got this page, guys. This particular page has only two paragraphs. As you can see here on this page, only two paragraphs are there. This is a very simple or basic web page, guys. Very simple basic web page. So in order to find the HTML code behind this page, I need to right click on this page and select view page source. Okay, in order to check the HTML code of this particular page or any page, guys. So find for some blank area like this, right click and select view page source. You will get the HTML source code of this particular page. This particular page has this HTML code. How to write this HTML code, guys? Okay, this is an example, right? For this example page, this is the example HTML code. This is example HTML page source code. So as you can see here in HTML, it starts with HTML tag and ends with HTML tag like that, right? Inside the HTML tag, we have a tag and body section, head section and body section, where head section is starting with head tag and ending with head tag. Body section is starting with head body tag and ending with body tag, right? So like that, guys, this basic structure you need to understand. Any web page, guys, will have this kind of basic structure. Now, what we'll do next is in Notepad, I'll write down the HTML code for you. Okay, I'll show you how to create the or write the HTML code for creating this kind of web pages. In order to create this kind of web pages, how to write this HTML code, I'm going to explain in a practical way now. So before that, you should have this Notepad plus tool, guys. Okay, it's a Notepad tool. So it's very simple tool, guys. It's a very simple tool. Just in any browser, search for Notepad plus and search. You will get this downloads Notepad plus. Click on this. You'll be taken to this downloads page of Notepad plus, and you can click on any of this release. Let's say latest release, and simply download and install in your machine. Very basic steps to install, guys. It's a very simple and basic straightforward tool. After you install the Notepad from the given URL and all, you can launch it here. And first thing you have to do is you have to save this particular file. Okay, in this Notepad you need to save this particular file. Save as. Go to any folder in your machine and give some name, guys. Let's say I'll give abcd.html. I'm giving a sample name like abcd.html, or we can give something like this, guys. Selenium Python demo.html. Okay, like this. Save this. Once you save this file, you can go to the folder where it got saved. Okay, as you can see here, some browser icon is coming beside it because it is a HTML file, guys. You can open in any browser. So right click and open with which browser? Chrome browser. Okay, open this HTML file with some any browser, guys, that you are habituated to use. I'll open with Chrome browser because I use Chrome browser a lot than other browsers. Right click and open with Google Chrome. You see this page got opened here. Whatever the file I saved as HTML, right? That got opened here. It doesn't have anything, guys. It doesn't have anything because we have not created anything regarding HTML here. Just the name .html we saved, right? Selenium Python demo.html we saved. That's it. Apart from that, we didn't create anything. As you can see, the title, guys. What is the title here? Selenium Python demo.html. Okay. So what is the file name? The file name is coming as title on this particular page. What next we have to do is go to the same Notepad and whatever the file you saved, like the Selenium Python demo.html. In that, start the HTML tag and also end this HTML tag like this. Start and end. Inside this HTML, create head tag. Head and say /head. Okay, you can do like this. Head section. This is the head section inside the HTML, which is a parent of the head tags. HTML is the parent of the head tags, right? Now another section, that is body / body, head section and body section. Inside the head section, at present guys, now save this, okay, before doing anything, before writing the structure like HTML tags. Inside the HTML tags, there are two tags again, head and body tags. Inside head tags nothing is there, inside body tags nothing is there for now, right? Now save this file and now go to the this particular thing that you opened. Okay, you opened this from here, right? From here you opened, right click open with, like this you opened, right? This browser you opened. Now refresh here, nothing will happen guys, nothing will happen. We just gave the structure here. But now before I create this title tags, okay, before okay, I'll create the title tags first. Title like this. Title, this is a starting tag. Title is a starting tag. Slash title is a ending tag. Okay, in between the title tags nothing is there, right? In between the title tags there is nothing. Now save this and refresh the page. You see the title is coming as the file name only, that is Selenium Python demo.html. But the moment you gave title here, okay, so Selenium Python HTML for locators, okay, Selenium Python training HTML for locators. This is the title I want to be displayed on the browser. So I have to specify this under the title tags. This is a starting tag of the title, and this is the ending title tag. In between that, I am giving the actual title that need to be displayed on the browser. Now save this. Go to the page, whatever we have opened, the Selenium Python demo.html page, and simply refresh. You see this time the title got changed, guys. Whatever the title you gave in the title tags of HTML code is coming here. Selenium Python HTML for locators is coming, right? Selenium Python. So it's not showing the full title. So Selenium Python HTML for locators is coming. Fine. Now we have to specify the title tags inside the head tag guys. Inside the head section, we have to provide the title tags. Now coming to the body tags guys, okay, body section. Now head tag is done. Inside the head, we got the title. Now go to the body tag. Inside the body tag, I'll add some paragraph tags. I would like to display some paragraphs on this particular page. Here you see, at present there are no paragraphs. Nothing is there on this page. I want to display some paragraphs. P/P. Okay, I'll copy this. I'll create three paragraphs. Okay, I want to display three paragraphs, guys. Not only one, three paragraphs I want to display. Okay, so locators help. I'm typing something, guys. Okay, I'm typing something. Locators help Selenium in finding the UI elements on the web pages. Another paragraph I'll write. Without locators, Selenium is by default blind and it cannot, okay, it cannot find or locate or see any UI elements on the web pages. And last paragraph I'll write, we need to have some basic HTML knowledge for understanding the locators. We need to have some basic HTML knowledge for understanding the locators. Like this, I have created three paragraphs, guys. Okay, in the starting paragraph, between the starting paragraph and ending paragraph, I gave the text that need to be displayed on the page. Now save this. The moment you save and come here and refresh this particular HTML page having the Selenium Python demo.html, you see the three paragraphs got displayed here, right? First paragraph, second paragraph, and third paragraph. So like this, guys. Okay. Now I want to explain more, guys. After adding the paragraphs, after adding the title and paragraphs to the HTML code, and we are able to see the same getting reflected on this particular page. Now let's understand few other things. Okay. Let's understand how to add the rulers. I want to separate these three paragraphs using some rulers, guys. Okay. Some line separation should come. So for that, what we'll do here is, again, I will go to the HTML code. Here, before the paragraph starts, I'll say HR slash horizontal ruler slash. So what is the difference between this tag and paragraph tags, guys? Okay, this is only one tag, but in paragraph tag, starting tag is there, ending tag is there. But in hr slash, there is no starting and ending. Only one tag is there. Okay, when you say like this, hr slash, few tags in HTML are self-closing tags. Okay, for example, if you see paragraph tag, it's not a self-closing tag. It's starting here and ending here. Whatever that is there provided between the starting and ending tags is a paragraph, right? But in hr slash, there is no starting and ending tags. It's a self-starting and self-closing tag. Here itself it's starting, here itself it is closing. And the purpose of this hr slash is to display the horizontal ruler on the page. Okay, now copy this. After the paragraph, paste it. Okay, like this. So how many times you add this, that many lines will come, guys. Okay, I want to separate all the paragraphs using this hr slash, using this ruler, that is hr slash, which is a self-closing and self-starting tag. Okay, there are no separate starting and ending tags in hr slash. Okay, it's a self-starting and self-closing tag. That's the difference, guys. There are few tags in HTML which are self-starting and self-closing like hr slash. And the purpose of this hr slash is to display a ruler on the page. Now save it. So before I refresh the page, there are no lines separations between this paragraph. Now, after I refresh the page, you see all the paragraphs got separated by these rulers. Okay, horizontal ruler, like that. Okay, different rulers are there. Now, next thing here is, next one is adding the hyperlink. Okay, so far we created the paragraphs. Now let me add the hyperlinks. In HTML, if you want to create some hyperlinks, we need to use anchor tags, guys. Anchor tag A, and this is the starting tag of anchor tag, and this is the ending tag of anchor tag. In between that, okay, in between that, I am not typing anything for now. So when I save this and refresh the page here, nothing will be displayed, guys, because you have not provided the link text. Whatever the text that you want to provide, that you have to provide, right? For example, I want to display Google. Save it. Now go here and refresh. Google is coming, but this is an anchor tag. It's a hyperlink. No, I cannot click it. Nothing is happening. The reason here is The reason here is, here you only provided the text between the anchor tags, but you have not converted this into a hyperlink. How to convert this into a hyperlink? In HTML, there is something known as attributes. Okay, in HTML, there are something known as attributes. We have to provide the attributes in the starting anchor tag. So in this anchor tag, after A, you have to provide the attribute name here. Attribute name you have to provide here. For example, I will provide the attribute like href. Href is equal to, in single quotes or double quotes, you have to provide the URL of this particular Google. So I'll go to the here and search for Google. Copy this URL. Sorry. Copy this URL. Close this and come here and paste. So I just gave the URL of the Google, right? This is just a text, guys. So I want to convert this normal text into a hyperlink. For that, I have to give the href attribute inside the anchor tag. Inside the starting anchor tag, I need to specify the attribute. Say href and give the URL of the Google here. Now save this. And after you add the attribute for that particular anchor tags, having the Google text, when I refresh this code, you see now this Google got converted into a hyperlink. When I click on this, you see it will take to google.com, right? When I'm clicking on that, it's taking to google.com. But what I want to do here is, I don't want to open this google.com in the same page. You see, when I click on the google.com, it's opening in the same page. Rather, I want this google.com to be by default opened in the new tab. So for that, guys, I have to add one more attribute. Here I have to say target is equal to underscore blank. Target is equal to underscore blank. Now save this. Now go here, refresh the page. Now, the moment you click on the google.com, it will not open in the same page. Rather, it will open in the new tab. As you can see here, when I click, it's opening in the new tab. It's not opening in the same page. The reason behind is that this particular attribute known as target with the value underscore blank. When you add this target attribute with the value underscore blank to this anchor tag, okay, in the starting anchor tag, if you add this particular attribute, say target is equal to underscore blank, then this hyperlink will open in the new tab rather than the same window, same tab. Okay, fine. So hope you understood, right? What is the purpose of the attributes here, right? So the reason I explained about this attributes is not to explain about HTML code or something for anchor tags. The reason I explained here is you need to understand what is the purpose of the attributes. In HTML, what is the purpose of attributes? Without attributes, you see, we cannot add the hyperlink, right? URL to the text of the anchor tags. And also you cannot specify to open the link in the new tabs. Like that, a lot of properties are required, right? When we perform actions. So all these are specified in the terms of attributes. Now we'll go with another thing, guys. I'll create a button. Okay. After this google.com, I'll create a button, guys. Let me go to the code. Here I'll separate this with HR slash, which will add another ruler after this anchor tag. Fine. Now here I'll say button, starting tag, button, ending tag, like this. Now save this. Now go here and refresh the page. You see some small icon is coming, right? This is nothing but button, guys. Okay. Button without any label or text. How to add the text on this button? For that, go to the HTML code. Inside the button, say click here. Okay, type click here. Now the button will be displayed with some label, guys. You will see a considerable size of the button because it has some label text now. Save this, go to the page and refresh, guys. You see now you got a proper button because it has some label like click here. When I click on the button, nothing is happening, guys. Okay, nothing is happening when I click on this button. That's fine, guys. Okay, this knowledge is enough about the button. This particular knowledge about HTML about this particular button is enough. In real time, developers will add some code so that when you click on a button, something should happen. Okay, that is out of our reach. For now, this will be enough to understand the HTML code of a button. Now I'll create one more button, guys. So try this button. Okay, try this button text. So when I save here and refresh here, you see we are getting one more button. Now guys, sometimes what happens is here inside the anchor tags, we use two attributes, right? One of the attribute name is href attribute, which has a URL of this particular text, okay, application or text. And here target underscore blank, target is another attribute which is having underscore blank to open this particular link in new tab rather than in the same tab. That was the purpose for these attributes. Now there are other type of attributes like ID attributes. Developer can give this ID attribute like this. ID is equal to, okay, ID is equal to say 1 1 2 3, okay, or button 1. I'll say button 1, better button 1. Okay, ID is equal to button 1. So here for this click here button, what is ID? Button 1 is ID. And now developer gives another ID for this different button. So say button 2, like this. Okay, button 1, button 2. For different buttons, different IDs are given by the developers. Why the developers are giving the ID attribute here with the different IDs? Here developer want to uniquely identify this button, guys. Tomorrow if he needs this particular button, okay, he want to get this particular button using this ID, guys. While writing the code, he will perform actions on this button using this particular ID, guys. Okay, he want to use this particular ID or call this particular button in a unique manner. For that, you see for this button and for this button, he gave different IDs. Like this, any UI elements for this paragraph also. Okay, ID is equal to, you can give some para one. If the developer want to identify this paragraph uniquely, okay, then he has to give some ID attribute, guys. This is the purpose of the ID attribute, guys. Developers tend to give ID attribute for a lot of UI elements on the web pages. The reason they give the ID attribute is to uniquely identify the elements on the page. Okay, if the developers want to uniquely identify this UI element on the web page, they give this ID is equal to some unique value. IDs should be unique, guys. For this paragraph 2, let's say developer gives para 2. For this paragraph, third paragraph, developers, let's say developer is giving para 3, like that. Okay, for this anchor tag also developer can give. After the target I'm giving ID is equal to what is that? Google link. Google link. Some unique name we have to give. That's it. Okay, some unique name we have to give. Like that, ID attribute can be given by the developer to any of the UI elements to uniquely identify that element, guys. Okay, that is the purpose of the ID attribute. Hope guys you understood why the developer has to give the ID attribute. There's no purpose, guys. Simple purpose is to uniquely identify. Okay, if the paragraph has to be uniquely identified from all the other UI elements on the web page, then he has to specify some unique ID for that particular paragraph that he want to uniquely identify tomorrow. Now save this, guys. Okay, sorry guys, just wrongly clicked. So now we are done with some basic HTML knowledge. We got some basic HTML knowledge. We understood starting tags, ending tags, structure of the HTML. We have two sections like head section and body section. Inside the body section, we can add different UI elements using different tag name. For example, paragraph has P tags, whereas hyperlink has A tags, button has button tag. And also in this kind of tags, there are some attributes also like ID attribute or href attribute, target attribute, different attributes are there. This basic knowledge you should have, guys. Okay, that will be enough for understanding the locators. Now let's explore few more things. Okay, after you understood this basic after you have this basic HTML knowledge, if you understand these other things, then that will be more good. So I'll give some examples, guys, like how to inspect the UI elements on the application. For that I will take one application. I'll take this application, guys, omaya.blogspot.com application. And on this application, there are several UI elements, guys. Okay, there are several UI elements. So first UI element I want to try is radio button. Okay, so as you can see here, there are some radio buttons here: male radio button, female radio button. First, I will right click on the male radio button, inspect this. You will get the HTML code for this radio button. Okay, you'll get the HTML code for this radio button. As you can see, this is a highlighted one. Okay, this highlighted line is the HTML code for this male radio button. And when you hold the mouse on this highlighted line, you see on the top side of the screen here, guys. Just focus here when I hover the mouse here, right? You see, male radio button is getting highlighted. That means this HTML code belongs to the male radio button. Now, guys, as you can see here, what is the tag name of this radio button? Input tag. It's a different tag name, and it has some attributes also. You see, inside the input tag, starting tag of input, there are some attributes like ID attribute. As I mentioned, as I already explained, right? Developers give this ID attribute to any UI element on the web pages to uniquely identify that particular, to uniquely identify this radio button. Developers have given this ID is equal to radio one attribute here. Similarly, there are other attributes like type, name, value. Depending on the needs, developer will add other attributes to this particular thing. Fine. Name is there, value is there. Value is like okay, the value of this radio button is value. Okay, so name is equal to gender, type is equal to radio, ID is equal to some names he gave. Type is equal to radio means this input field is radio button type. Okay, if I give type is equal to button here, instead of radio button, what you are getting, guys? You are getting a button here. That's the purpose of the type. Okay, why the developer gave the type as radio here? Okay, this input field type is a radio button. So if I change it again back to radio, you see, it will convert to radio button like that, guys. So it's a input type where users can input something. Users can select this radio button as an input, right? Input type of the UI element, and he gave ID to uniquely identify this radio button, and he gave type attribute to mention the type of this input field. Okay, it is a text box field or button or radio button or something like that. He wanted to be a radio button, so he gave type is equal to radio. That's fine. And he gave something known as name is equal to gender. I'll explain what is name is equal to gender now. Now, before I explain something about name is equal to gender, if I right click inspect on this female radio button, you see this HTML code belongs to the female radio button, right? And it also has a name is equal to gender. The previous radio button is having name is equal to gender here, right? Here, guys, as you can see here, this radio button, the male radio button is having the name is equal to gender, and also the female radio button is also having the name is equal to gender. Why the name is same for both the radio buttons? But ID is different. You see, ID is different. ID is called radio one. Developer want to uniquely identify the first radio button using the radio one. Developer want to uniquely identify the second radio button using radio two. Here IDs are different because developer want to uniquely identify the male radio button, uniquely identify the female radio button. That's why he gave different attributes as IDs. But coming to the name, he gave same, guys. The name is same. Name is called gender. Name is called gender. Why? Because these two radio buttons belong to the same category. Okay, these two radio buttons belong to the same category. That's why, guys. That's why what's happening, guys, here? What's happening? If they belong to the same category, what will happen? Let me explain. So when you select any of these radio buttons, only one is getting selected. Why? Because this male and female belong to the same category. If the radio buttons belong to the same category, that is name is called gender, name is called gender category, then only one radio button you can select. That's what is possible using name attribute, guys. So another example, guys. Here you see bike. bike, bicycle, car. 3 radio buttons are there. If I inspect this, you see this is the area, guys. Bike, bicycle. This is HTML code for bike radio button. This is HTML code for bicycle. This is HTML code for the car, right? So what's happening here in this case? So here the developer gave the name as vehicle. You see, name is equal to vehicle. Name is equal to vehicle. Name is equal to vehicle. All these 3 radio buttons have the same name attribute and value. Okay, for this name attribute, same value is there for these 3 radio buttons, because these 3 radio buttons are grouped into a single category. What will happen when they are grouped into a single category? These 3 radio buttons are grouped into a single category. What will happen? You can only select one radio button. This is what is required, right? So when 3 options are given, only one option need to be selected. This is possible with the help of name attribute, guys. By giving the name attribute for this radio button HTML code, only one option you are able to select. Okay, that is what developer is achieving here. Hope guys you understood something about the radio buttons and their relation with the name attributes for category purpose, right? So generally all the radio buttons will have the same names, name attribute values. Then next one I'm going to explain is a drop down. Okay, drop down option. So there is a drop down field here, guys. This is a drop down field. If you can select any option in this drop down field, that's fine, right? Right click on this drop down field and inspect. When you inspect this drop down field, you see this is HTML code that is getting highlighted, right? This HTML code that is getting highlighted for this drop down field. It also has some ID, guys. Developer has given some ID attribute and some unique value here to locate this drop down, to find this drop down field uniquely. Okay, whenever he needs this drop down uniquely, or use this particular drop down, he will use this particular ID in his programming or whatever it is. Now, apart from the ID attribute, it also has a name attribute, right? Like sitemap. And also, this drop down field also is having another attribute known as class attribute. We should have some basic knowledge about ID, name, class, guys. Okay, these are general important attributes like ID, name, and class. Generally, class is given for UI purpose case. Okay. For example, if I go to this application, tutorialsninja.com/demo application, if I go to this login page, and if I right click inspect on this login button and inspect like this, login on, right click on this login button and inspect, you see this is HTML code coming for this login button, right? What is the class name? Class attribute. Class attribute has the value as btn space btn hyphen primary. Similarly, there is another button here, continue button. If I right click inspect here, you see this continue button is also having the same class attribute value, that is btn space btn hyphen primary. Both the buttons login and continue has the same thing. If I go to the register page, and here also there is a button known as continue button, right click inspect. So this is HTML code for this button, guys. This particular continue button is also having the class as btn space btn hyphen primary. Why the developer is giving the same class attribute name value to all the buttons on this particular page? No matter which page you go, okay? No matter which page you go. You see, I went to the contact us page, and here submit button is there. Right click inspect. This button is also having the class attribute value as btn space btn hyphen primary. Why this particular application is having the same class name for all the buttons on the page? The reason behind this is the same styling they want to maintain. Okay, so developer is applying some css means cascading style sheets, where some right, common styling. For example, this button, it is in which color, guys? Blue color. And what is the label color? White color, right? So the properties, styling properties of this button, like color, label, size of the label, okay, the type of the size of the button, everything is decided, created by the developer in the class. Okay, he has created a class. That class is applied for all these buttons, guys. Developer has created a class at the UI level. That class is being applied for all the buttons. You see submit button, or in the registration page, this continue button, they are looking similar because same styling is applied here, guys, for all these buttons on the page. Continue, login, continue, whatever it is. Okay, whatever the button it is, all the buttons on this page application pages have the same UI. This is possible with the help of class attribute, guys. Because of this class attribute and its value, developer is able to achieve this. Developer has written some styling code, okay, for whatever the buttons he provide, this class is equal to this particular value. all those buttons will have the same styling. Okay, all those buttons will have the same styling. That's the purpose, guys. That's the purpose. You can see another example also. For example, wish list is there here, checkout is there here. They have the almost similar UI, right? Right click, inspect the wish list. It has some class name, class hidden hyphen access, hidden hyphen sm, hidden hyphen md. Now checkout, right click, inspect the checkout. Same thing, you see hidden hyphen access, hidden hyphen sm, hidden hyphen md. That's why wish list and the UI or what is the colors and all those stuff about wish list and checkout are looking similar because developer has applied the same class. Okay, this is what is being done in real time, guys, by the developers. Okay, so coming to the drop down here, the class applied by the developer is combo box. Okay, he gave something known as combo box here. That's it. Fine. So hope you understood, guys. What is this class attribute value? What is this ID attribute value? What is the purpose of the name attribute value? Right? So there are different reasons why developer is giving the ID attribute, name attribute, class attribute. Okay, this basic knowledge you should have, guys. Okay, this basic HTML knowledge you should have. So then other element, UI element I can explain about in terms of HTML is this image, guys. If you go to this page, and as you can see, there is an image here. Right click on this image and inspect it. In images generally have this img tag. Okay, they'll have img tag and src attribute, guys. So what is this src attribute for this image? So this is an image, right? So this is an image. Which image should be displayed here? Img means that here image should be displayed, but which image should be displayed here? The location or the path of this image should be specified in the src. Src means source of the image. So this is the URL of the image, guys. Okay, this is the URL of the image. Okay, the location of the image, you can say, not URL. It's the location of the image. So if I open this image somewhere here, let's see, the entire big size image will be displayed. Okay, this image I'm displaying here. In order to display this particular image on this particular page, I need to use this img tag. Okay, I need to use img tag to display this particular image on this particular page. Understood, guys? SRC stands for source of the image, from where this img tag is getting the image that we have to provide here. Apart from that, height of the image and width of the image are there, height attribute and width attribute. So here 200 is the height and 150 px is the width. If I increase something like this, okay, if I say 300, you see the height of the image got increased. If I say 50, you see the width of the image got decreased. Like this, guys. I'll go back. 150, 200 is a proper size, right here. So this is height and width of the image also we can change. Source of the image, the place where the image is uploaded in the cloud, and from where this particular application is getting the image. This is the source of the image. This is the height of the image. This is the width of the image. Like that, every HTML, okay, UI element will have some tag. It has some attributes based on the required properties. It will have different things. For example, this text box field, right click, inspect this text box field. It has which tag? Input tag. What is the type here? Type is text, guys. Type is text. It's a text box field. So type is text. If I right click on this text area field, inspect it. Okay. So here, the tag name for this text area field is text area is a tag. Text area. Okay. For text box fields, input tag. For text area fields, different tag. That is text area. Like that, guys. So defaultly, how many rows we can type? 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why only 10 rows I can type here by default? By default, this text area is, the size of the text area field is 10 rows. If I give 20 rows, what will happen? Enter. You see, by default, the number of rows you can by default type here is 20. You can type more than 20 also, but visible lines will be 20, guys. Okay, like that column size also we can increase. For example, if I make this 200, you see it will become very big. It's going out of the line. Okay, now simply I will refresh the page to reset it back. Fine. So like that, guys. So this is how we can play with HTML code, guys. Okay, so text area field having some random attributes. Okay, here as you can see, this particular text area field is having some random attributes like rows, columns. Based on the requirement of the text area field, these attributes are there for this text area field. Okay, so what else? The submit button, let's inspect. This is a button tag, guys. Okay, button tag. Now this button, what about this login button? Button tag. So what about this one? Input tag. You see some buttons having input tag, some buttons having the button tags. It depends, guys. The type here is a button, guys. Is that button type? What about checkbox field? If I right click inspect on the checkbox field, it's also input tag. Checkbox fields also input tags, right? Radio buttons also input tags. Radio buttons, checkbox fields, and some buttons. Okay, some button here have the input tags, but the type is different, guys. Here type is equal to button. Here itself, guys, this username, if I enter something into the username, it is visible. If I enter something into the password, it is not visible, because here input tag for this username is, let me inspect, input tag for this username is type. Input tag name has the attribute as type is equal to text. That's why the text is visible here. But this is also an input tag, guys. This is also text box field input tag, but the type is not text, guys. Type is password. Here for this input box field, the type is password. That's why in password, whatever you type will not be visible. Okay, this is a password. It should be sensitive, right? It should not be visible. That's why you should not be specifying text here. If I specify text here, whatever you enter, it will be visible, guys. Okay. If I enter password here, it will not be visible. You understood, right? What is the purpose of the tags and attributes here? How they are changing the properties of the elements, right? So similarly, this button has a also has an input tag. Not only the text box field, this particular button is also having the input tags, but the type is button, guys. Type is button, right? If I say cancel, it's getting reset. When I say cancel, the values are getting reset because the type is reset type. Like that, different attributes, different values, if you give, the properties of the elements will change. And also I mentioned, even this radio buttons and checkbox also will have the input tag, but the type is radio. Here for checkbox field, input tag, but the type is checkbox. If I want to convert this checkbox into a radio button, I'll simply say radio. You see, this one is radio, this one are checkbox fields, like that, guys. Okay. So this is how simple it is to understand the HTML code, guys. This basic knowledge, whatever explained as part of this session, will be enough for you to understand the locators in detail, guys. Okay, don't go beyond that. This basic knowledge will be enough. You will now understand the locators in a better way in the coming sessions. So hope, guys, you understood all the HTML basics that I explained as part of understanding the locators that I will teach in the upcoming sessions. So that's it, guys. See you in the next session. Thank you. Bye.